Welcome to HCL at Davos. Welcome to WEF 19.
Thanks for having me.
So Scott, what are the trends you're picking up in the last 2 days at the World Economic Forum?
Well, everybody's talking about this fourth industrial revolution, and obviously at the heart of that is our technologies like AI and IoT, or even stretching into synthetic biology and CRISPR. But I think when you peel back what's really at the heart of transformation, it's going to be about humans, because the technology flywheel will keep spinning. 5 years from now, there'll be newer technology platforms coming out. And so you have to ask yourself as a company, whether you're established or even a startup, what are the right kind of skills and roles I'm going to need in the future? So I just co-authored a book called Goliath's Revenge, which is really aimed at established companies who tend to think of themselves as disadvantaged in this new digital economy. And in the book, we make the argument they're actually very advantaged because they have so many assets they start with that actually can be huge advantages, but sometimes they need to get out of their own way. They need to think of how to go create those new skills and competencies to unlock those assets.
I want to ask you more about, you kind of touched upon the importance of humans in the coming decade. So a little bit on thoughts around, the human-machine harmony and how that's going to play up in the next coming 10 years.
I like to think of it as an optimist, that companies and leaders will be proactive. And one of the reasons I joined Heidrick is we spend a lot of time thinking about leaders, what makes them successful. And when you put that in the context of this new digital economy, really it is about being proactive to say, okay, technologies like AI are transformational. There are things that are going to shift how we want humans and machines to work together. And that equilibrium is what we want to get to, right? And if we can start to think ahead, and some great examples are already happening, say in wealth management, right, where you have, quote, robo-advisors that can do things like portfolio management and processing and aggregating account information, things that were very heavy lifting, things that in many cases financial advisors had to go do or check on. Now that can be done in an automated way, and those financial advisors can be more coaching and mentoring their clients.
How about the new skills? I mean, you're talking a little bit about the new skills. So what do you foresee, and especially coming in from that industry, what do you foresee in the next 10 years?
A lot of focus on what we call the 3Ds, right? Design, development, data science. But really we think companies need to think beyond that. It's who are the people that are going to connect those technologies back into the business, back into experiences. So a couple of those roles we talk about in the book. One's product incubation managers, people that can run at the speed of rapid experimentation, lean startup, but then bring those innovations to scale back into the business, which is very hard, and a lot of companies struggle with that. Second is what we call journey mappers, people that can live in the experience, walk in the shoes of the customer, look at data and insights from that, from the data science, and actually bring that back into products and new innovations. Third is behavioral scientists, which go very much with that, using your data to understand how to drive positive behavior. So one of the examples in the book is a company called Discovery Health out of South Africa. A plain old insurance company that decided to innovate and say, we want to co-create insurance and have our members share in the risk of their insurance product, but also the gains. And they launched Vitality, which is now the largest wellness platform in the world. And behavioral science was a huge part of who they are. The fourth is business modelers. So finance people are typically trained to build normal financials. Well, in a world of rapid experimentation, your business models and financials need to be dynamic. You're always testing your assumptions, you're always learning. So people that can keep up with that and build those business models that are very dynamic. The fifth one is solution finders. So we reward inventors and innovators in big companies. Solution finders often don't get rewarded the same, and we think that's going to be even a more important skill in the future, scouting for innovations outside your walls, because you can't keep up with the speed of the market.
How about leadership? What is the next stage on leadership that we should be looking forward to in the coming decade?
It's a great question, and I think it's easy for companies to say, well, let's just hire a chief digital officer, a chief innovation officer, and we just wrote an article on this at Knowledge at Wharton that's maybe an easy out, but it's kind of offloading the responsibility that digital's not a thing or a project, it's a new way of working. It's a new way of operating. And every leader, it doesn't matter if you're a CFO or a general counsel or a business leader of a product line, has a responsibility to rethink their business around this kind of new revolution. And so we talk about a framework we've launched at Heidrick called digital dexterity. Think of it as a digital triathlete, somebody who can think ahead strategically and see some of the new patterns coming, somebody that can execute in the present and digitize their current business effectively to make it competitive and drive a better experience.
What would be your one message to the millennials preparing for the next decade?
Really interesting because I have 4 millennials that are actually, well, Gen Z and Gen Xers as kids. And if I ask them, there's a couple of things. And one of the rules in the book is reframe your purpose as a company. Because that will not only attract the next generation of innovators who are purpose-driven, more than money even, but also it will open up your eyes to new business models that you might consider. And the example we give in the book is General Motors. Consider it a stodgy old car manufacturer who's reframed the world as, no, we're a sustainable transportation company. And you can see their investments in ride sharing and also even things like autonomy, which become much more about transportation than about building cars.
Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.